Hey, how's it going, everyone? Cyclops from Paramount Cyclops here. Turkey Day is definitely getting close. I hope everybody is having thankful days and that your days are wonderful. And that you have everything you could wish for this Thanksgiving holiday season. To travel or not to travel? That is the question. Well, I will be spending Thanksgiving here by myself in a physical manner, but I will be uploading with you guys, so in a sense, I will be spending Thanksgiving with you guys. So, Biden is pleading with people to not travel this holiday season due to the uptick in COVID. And he's predicting that is going to be a grim season of division that can hopefully be healed by a season of love. Well, we shall see. We can wish in one hand and spit in the other and see which hand gets wetter. I know that's not how the phrase goes, but do you really expect me to say the phrase on YouTube? Come on now. But as Joe Biden is calling for people to not travel and giving personal anecdotes of his own life, of a big family, that this is the first year since Bo died that they're not going to gather, millions of Americans are saying, no, we're going to travel. We miss our families. We've been locked down for the longest 15 days we've ever had, and we are going to go see family. They need the emotional support. Some people need that support. They have to have it. And they're willing to take the risks. This one, however, this one takes the cake. Overreaching? I will let you decide. From the Daily Mail. The final Thanksgiving travel crackdown. Vermont will interrogate students over holiday plans. New York City sets up more checkpoints. Yeah. What was it like? Movies like Casablanca, other old movies back in the day that took part in a certain era of history with a WW and a 2 in it. Those had checkpoints and things like that, and those were like the scary, suspenseful parts of the movie. They're approaching the checkpoint. Papers, please. The heroes look at each other. Once again, the soldier. Papers, please. Right? Checkpoints. I mean, gosh. And LA lengthens quarantine as cities and states across the country try and stop the huge getaway at the 11th hour. At this point, I think they would realize it's probably not going to happen. I mean, at this point, everything's out of the bag. How much further down this road can we go? How much more can we take? States are introducing curfews, setting up COVID-19 checkpoints, and issuing stay-at-home orders as officials hope to avoid a spike in COVID cases linked to Thanksgiving travel at the 11th hour. Well then, boy, I sure hope that they have their stuff together for Christmas, because people are going to be traveling a lot then too. Back-to-back holidays like that, not too far apart. I mean, what are we supposed to do? Put our entire lives on hold for an undisclosed period of time? And am I the only one that remembers it was 15 days? So every time the government keeps telling us that it's going to be this long, and I'm like, it was 15 days. Now you're telling us it's a year. And then you're telling us you're going to get the vaccine out at a certain time, and that maybe, by May of next year, things might be somewhat back to normal, but they'll never be quite back to normal. But then everything else you told us time frame wise hasn't happened either. 15 days, what happened to that? We went through this. We locked down for 15 days. We did this already. We did this. And here we are, at least in my state, doing it again. So what are we doing? What are we doing? Yet millions have already traveled, packing airports and train stations across the country in defiance of the CDC's guidelines. The approach to the Thanksgiving weekend and the travel crackdown here have varied dramatically in different states. And that's the other thing. There is zero consistency anywhere across the board, even within its own states. And even our lockdown here in New Mexico isn't guaranteed to be over on Monday. Our wise, brave leader has said that on Monday things will unlock on a step basis. Maybe. See, it's like a parent talking to their kids. In Los Angeles, travelers into the city's airports will be required to fill out a form acknowledging the recommendations to quarantine for 14 days after arrival while in New York City. Extra COVID checkpoints have been set up at bridges and tunnels to warn travelers of the quarantine requirements. However, I personally know of people who have come in from other states that, yeah, no, they're not going to quarantine. No, not going to do it. Not going to do it. Why? Well, because it's human nature, man. You lock people down, especially Americans who are so bound up by their freedoms, which is a good thing. Freedoms are important. And you lock them down, you take their freedoms away for a while, and they start getting itchy. You start being like, I want my freedoms. You can tell me to do what now? And the more that you push, the more Americans push back. The more you push, the more Americans push back. And the more you push, the more Americans push back. There comes a point when Americans as a whole will say, yeah, nah, not going to happen. Not going to happen. We love our freedom. And rightfully so. In Pennsylvania, Governor Tom Wolf announced that law enforcement would be stepping up efforts to enforce the state's safety plan, which requires people entering from a different state, whether Pennsylvania residents or not, to test negative for the virus within 72 hours before they arrive in the Commonwealth. Wow, does that complicate things? 72 hours before you arrive, you have to test negative. So you're kind of at the slave mercy, whatever, of wherever you're at, and their testing facilities, and are they open, and are they expedient, and blah, 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 blah. I think it's just an extra inconvenience, an extra push, an extra squeeze, an extra little thing to make us just... And how much more can we take before we're like, yeah, no, enough? I mean, already, Americans are saying no, enough. They're traveling. In many states and major cities, however, health officials are simply relying on the general public to comply with recommendations to stay at home and avoid mixing with other households, rather than bringing in any measures to enforce the advice. I don't know under the Constitution how you would actually enforce it. I believe it's unenforceable. In fact, I believe under the Constitution of the United States, even just curfews are unenforceable. I know in the mid-90s here in New Mexico, it was a very turbulent time in New Mexico. And they tried to enact curfews for individuals under 18, I think it was. And anybody in groups of 3 or more, I think it was. Well, it was declared unconstitutional. So I'm not sure how you could enforce it. Man, where are we? I just feel like one by one, our rights are being stripped away. And I get the other side. I get it. There's this scary thing out there. I know. I understand. But as a whole, why are 99.9, let's see, 0.016, why are 99.984% of the population suffering and the economy tanking for a very small amount? Not in the least discounting their value. What I'm saying is we run as a nation. If we fail as a nation, we fail as a nation. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. I don't know. I love you guys. I see the writing on the wall. It's going to be crazy. Things are going to change. Things are going to get automated. In some ways, it's going to actually advance us in a technological manner, I believe. I see it happening. My investments are showing that what I predicted would happen is happening. I fear for people's jobs. I fear for people's well-being. Family's important. I fear for our rights. I fear for our freedoms. Our freedoms are important too. It used to be give me liberty or give me death. Now it's kind of run around in circles and I'll take whatever you give me. I don't know. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.